Hello everyone, welcome back.
I have talked to
My name is Icarix,
I'm Kunagusus.
and welcome back to our show.
Yes, we're just wrapping up from going back from where we left off. Massalia tried to attack Narbo, but our two armies defended it successfully.
God help those poor souls, they've been through so much already.
Now we're going on the aggressive to wipe out what's left.
Oh God.
So we get rid of the
Just give them
centaurs.
a fucking break, will you? You've been through enough.
No, those Greeks need to be ground up.
Okay, well, as long as for a good cause, maybe I'll let it slide.
It causes puning expansion,
Okay.
and to give us another front against Rome.
Alright, I'll let it slide.
So yeah, that's what we're doing at the moment. Decided to build a fishing port in Narbo to give ourselves a bit of food. The Brethren of Battle, and we move them up.
Hispania looks pretty good.
Yeah, of course, it's one of our oldest provinces.
Still standing strong.
So to replace one of my fallen hoplites, I recruit some Massalian mercenary hoplites. And it looks like I decided to recruit some additional mercs. Libyan cavalry, Scutari, and the Gallic sword band. The sword band actually have a new unit card done by Summary in the latest DEI patch.
Yeah?
Yeah, so their visuals got tweaked, so he redid the unit card.
Have there been any more updates about this DEI?
Well, this was done, I think, in 1.3.1, which is the current patch.
Right. But, I mean, like, regardless, have there been any more sort of updates?
Well, let me think now. Well, we're now starting to besiege Rome. But, you know, it's time to auto-resolve, but I wanted to make this one a bit more special. But to answer your question, Summary has been posting a few things on his Discord about what he's been working on.
Yeah?
I mentioned before that he'd been redoing the visuals to the Seleucid armoured elephants and Carthage's Atlas elephants.
Mm-hmm.
He's also been redoing some of the nomadic factions, some of the visuals for their armours. I think they're getting a bit of a slight overhaul. So that's as far as I know. I don't really know what else they're really doing. I just hope that they will finally get that Seleucid generals thing fixed.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see, I suppose.
Yep, indeed.
Sure, these things kind of take time, you know? It's expected.
Yeah, they upload a new patch like twice a year.
If they're reliable enough, then I don't think there's anything to worry about.
It depends if it falls through the cracks of things they might need to do. But yeah.
I don't know, they sound like reliable guys. I'd say
yeah, they
we're
are.
in good
Just
hands.
that there'll be things that they might forget to do because they have a lot of other things to work out on. Plus, it depends on how much time it takes to do this little fix.
I'm sure they'll put their best effort in regardless.
So yeah, I imagine it will be done. Just hopefully in the next patch, 1.3.2, hopefully, because that'll make it kind of perfect for doing the Seleucids as our next campaign.
Yes, definitely.
Because the whole issue is the Hetairoi companion cavalry and the Agama cavalry don't change when the thorax reforms kick in. They're supposed to, but what you'd have to do is manually disband the units to recruit the newer version. And I don't like that. I'd rather be able just to retrain them when I get the opportunity to. So we have an ambush. We get to ambush this very small Roman force, which is not worth fighting out.
Ugh. That was hasty.
Yep. And now the
We
remaining
captured a few
legions
of their
fall back.
troops as well.
Yeah, we probably ransomed them. But at this late stage, I often like to ransom captives. Early game.
Samaritan reforms. What are those?
Sarmatian reforms, I probably said. Which just is reforms for certain nomadic factions, I'd say.
At once, we take this settlement for you, my lord.
Oh, we seem to be attacking Tatora. Is that it?
Tolosa.
Tarosa.
Tolosa.
Tarlosa.
Tolosa.
Tolosa.
And we auto-resolve it. We sack it.
And then ransack it.
Then raise it.
Or raise, yeah. Very excessive, but necessary.
Well, it's just the handiest thing to do when it's not a settlement of your culture. Yeah, that's what the immigrant building gives you. Vacantian cavalry and the Celto-Hellenic swords.
Very inviting.
Yeah, the Celto-Hellenic swords were changed in 1.2.8, but that was only from Massalia.
How would they change exactly?
They were originally Celto-Hellenic thorax swords. They were a lot heavier and they were made to be a little bit lighter. So they're made kind of a little bit lighter, so they wouldn't be wearing like chainmail armor, instead they'd be wearing like a linothorax or whatever. And so they were renamed to be just Celto-Hellenic swords. And Massalia gets them in their Thoreos reforms instead of thorax. Although their visuals, there was a little error and the visuals were not properly changed.
Why? What happened with the visuals?
I think what happened was it was just a simple little error of a capitalization in the file name. The file for these, like a variant mesh definition, I think it's the name of the file. And I think that I don't know what the specifics, but I think the either the original or the changed appearance had capital letters, but the file it was supposed to be overwriting did not, or vice versa. And that
so there was a bit of a mismatch, basically.
So it didn't overwrite the old visual.
Oh, okay.
So whilst they had lower stats to reflect them being lighter troops, they still had like the heavier chainmail armor in their actual visuals.
So basically, it was just an inconsistency in the visual department.
Yeah, that got fixed in either 1.3 or 1.3.1 is when Cam caught it. Because 1.2.8 had a Massalia rework. Well, not just Massalia. Colchis and Archaebosporus, which are also Greek-ish factions, were reworked. Where they would no longer have a barracks. Instead, they would have they'd have these settlement buildings, one for Greeks and one for, called them the local peoples of the territories. And both had their own respective advantages, disadvantages. But they also gave you different units tied to those cultures. The Greek chain gave you Greek units and the non-Greek chain gave you non-Greek units. So Massalia got a lot more Celtic units in their roster, and even some hybrid Greek units. So yeah, it was kind of an interesting rework. Made Massalia quite interesting to play. But yeah.
We see the Scourge of Reship advancing towards Roma.
Yeah, see, the city itself is under siege, but I'm just trying to cause more trouble.
Trying to create a little bit more difficulties for them.
A little bit. See, I just wanted to have a big, nice siege battle over Rome, so I'm building up the siege equipment.
I live to serve the might raiding.
So yeah, raiding, probably to lure the Romans to attack that army outside Medlan.
Weaken their defenses.
It's make it easier to attack.
Well, it's basically, I mean, like, luring their forces outside the city is basically a form of weakening their defenses, because it means less forces to defend the city when we do eventually take it.
Yes, and that's what they did. They fell to the bait. They took the bait. And I had to fight this out. Now, this is, I think, a legion. These are legions that are mostly auxiliaries or local troops. So they're Cludocarii and Ligurian spearmen.
Bit of a challenge, but I'm sure we can handle it.
They're not that strong. They're handy enough units, but, you know, not that tough. Cludocarii.
Extraordinary.
Yeah, the Cludocarii are like alpine swordsmen. Yeah, so this is our troops. We've got our African war elephants. Our spear line is a mix of the Adgenios Lankia and Libyan Thoreo spears. Our frontline troops be a mixture of Libyan Thoreo swords, possibly Ambacti, Scutari, and Apuli Extraordinarii.
What about the enemy? What do they have?
Largely local troops like Ligurian spearmen, Alpine swordsmen, I think some Ligurian skirmishers, a few Roman troops like Velites.
Oh, javelins away, or spears away.
Slingshots.
Slingshots, slings away.
Because I got Balearic slingers.
Oh yeah, right.
Bar like one or two of my armies, they have all got Balearic slingers.
Well,
Which are some
having no effect so far.
Well, because these guys have shields, so they're absorbing all the hits. So not exactly using these guys the most efficiently. But Balearic
It's a
slingers
waste of ammo if you think about it.
It is probably. I acknowledge that, but I just I'm a bit lazy in that regard. It'd be better to probably deploy them more around my flank so they can shoot the enemy from this side. There we see the Velites throwing their javelins.
So I saw one of our men trying to flank them around the back as well.
Those
Would have
guys.
been the perfect time to deploy them if you think about it.
Yeah, Balearic slingers are probably among the best slingers in Rome too.
Oh, we have a side army there trying to flank another set of soldiers there.
Yeah, the Ligurian cavalry are charging in, and so I send my cavalry to counter them. My Libby Phoenicians. And there's my Iberians fighting the other cavalry.
The Epones.
Arios Epones.
Arios Epones, they're fighting off the other Epones.
Cavalry, yeah. Epones means horses. The word horse in Gaulish was epos, related to the Latin equus, which meant horse. Also, the Irish, in modern Irish, we actually have the word ach, E-A-C-H, and that means horse. It's not used very much, but it's from the same root as epos, the Proto-Celtic word equos. So I think in primitive Irish it was echwa, was horse.
I'll just say, dear viewers, that this actually really is informative to me because I never got the opportunity to do Irish.
Yeah, but I only found out of the word ach through Wiktionary. because it's not really used to. It's not really the word one would use when talking about a horse in Irish. You use the word couple. So you don't normally say ach. I don't know what context one would ever say ach. Just that you say couple now, but the word still exists. You know, it was ech in Old Irish, and that might have been used more common. I think the distinction was like ech referred to higher quality horses, higher status horses, like a horse you'd go and ride with, whereas I think pack animal horses maybe were known as couple.
Ooh, Jesus. Those elephants are practically storming the battlefield.
Well, yeah, they're against weaker troops. So yeah, it's going pretty well.
No, they're not. Those aren't troops. They're mashed potatoes.
So we see my our Ambacti are slaughtering those guys. Moving the Ardios Oppones back. Yeah, elephants are pretty cool to use. Chariots are kind of cooler. Bit more fun to use chariots.
Oh yeah, is it? Are you talking about the ones with the spikes on their wheels?
Just in general, chariots are fun to use.
What was the name of those spiked chariots again?
Scythe chariots.
Scythe chariots, yeah.
Yes, it's scythes on the wheels.
I would imagine scythe chariots are pretty cool to use as well.
Oh yeah, they are. And they're cool to look at. I know I think I said to you, I have been working on a sort of a rough script for Scythe Chariots video. I'm actually going to put that on hold.
Yeah, you mentioned that before.
Yeah, do a different topic and I'll get to it eventually. Dear viewers, for any who particularly care, I do plan to make more general history-ish content, because I'm a big fan of history, and I have finished my relevant degrees, so could be nice to try and do this or something. So someday ye might find some history videos on this channel.
They may also very well be tests for you, dear viewers, so keep that in mind.
So yeah, that's what we're at. But we now have the new wave of troops. Again, more local troops, but they have some TWR2. So it's time for round 2.
Alright. You don't have to keep saying it. They get the memo.
So my Afghanios Lanky are charging to the Kludakari. These guys probably look good with that Dong submod.
Yes, I would highly agree with that.
Well, in our next campaign we'll definitely have it on.
I'm
Because
sure some of our dear viewers out there will be really looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, so it'll be quite fun to do that. To play around with Semon's Dong submod. Definite overhaul for naked gentlemen. That's what it means. It's an acronym.
A very playful acronym.
Yes. So I'm back to your fighting some Hastati, they look like.
Hastati? What are they like?
They're sword infantry. Those are Principes.
Are they skilled sword infantry?
Oh, yeah, they're pretty strong. Not as heavy as Principes, but they're still pretty strong.
Oh, the elephants are rounding back now.
The gas thing is the name Hastati means spearmen.
Oh, making short work of them now.
Yeah. It's going pretty well.
Very well, actually. I'd say the enemy is close to rounding at this point.
Yeah, so we're definitely overall winning. That front line's been crushed.
Well, their forces are definitely more spread out.
Yeah.
I think there's only 2 of them left. I mean, like, from what I can see.
I'm charging my cavalry into the backs of those principes to help my Thoreo spears.
Sure, practically all they have left is Principe, or how do you pronounce it again?
Principes.
Principes. Sure, practically all they have left is Principes. If you think about it.
Yeah, so I got Tarantine Thoreo spears in my army.
Well, those guys are screwed.
Cohorts Praetoria Scipiones. We've lost a few elephants. So yeah, this battle's gone pretty well.
Yep. Let's say even the naked dudes are shitting themselves.
Oh yeah. Well, you think of it this way, these guys have probably not seen elephants before.
Really?
Well, in fairness, that's actually apparently one of the things that helped the Seleucids in the Battle of the Elephants. It was a battle between the Seleucids and the Galatians. And apparently what really helped the Seleucids was the fact that the Galatians had never seen elephants before.
Was it just that they never had any in their region, or was
Well, yeah,
it just like...
because the thing is, elephants are not around in Europe. You know, you find them in Africa and you find them in Asia.
I guess that makes sense, yeah.
So, a bunch of Celtic guys who originally came from Gaul, who have migrated into what is now Turkey, are now fighting in roughly Syria and are fighting a Syrian-based Greek kingdom that are fielding elephants. They're unlikely to have seen them before. And they can be very terrifying for people who don't know what they're like.
Sure, I would have imagined that, like, maybe some of these guys, maybe some scholars from that region, they would have traveled the world.
Well, probably don't expect everybody to be so well travelled, and these were tribes who may not have done that much extensive travelling. You know, let alone have someone who's travelled the world and can tell, oh, I saw these things called elephants.
I don't know, it just seems unlikely for me personally that none of these guys in the tribes would have at the very least just travelled somewhere, maybe just described what the elephants were like. Maybe even it was only like a vague illustration for them or something.
Even then, there's a difference between maybe having a vague general idea that there's this big, large animal with tusks and a trunk and actually seeing them in battle.
They probably thought it was like a hard myth or something, if you think about it.
I think when the Romans first dealt with elephants, they were scared of them. And I think they can still be a terrifying sight, but just if you're more experienced and used to dealing with them, they're less of a problem. As is evidenced by how the Romans acted at Zama in 202 BCE. Hannibal had his elephants charge at the Romans, and the Romans basically made gaps in their formation, and the elephants went through those.
Yeah, there's that as well.
So, you know, if you're experienced enough, you can take care of elephants with not much trouble, but otherwise, they can be very fearsome and a terrifying sight. They can also scare horses very well.
Oh yeah, I would imagine that.
But yeah, so this battle has gone pretty well, and our troops are picking off the enemy stragglers. As we see, my Numidians are cutting down those Ligurian spearmen.
Picking off all the strays.
Yeah. I'd like to see if we can learn more about the Ligurians. They're kind of interesting.
Are there any good books about them out there?
No idea. I'd have to see if I can find anything on them. Don't think there's very much. The only thing I know is I think there are people from like North Italy who became Celticized. So don't think they were even Celtic. They were Celticized. Because I think North Italy, apparently, I think what I understand is culturally, before Celts started to arrive in the place, it was quite Etruscan-like. And then I think once you Celts arrive in the region, they just eventually becomes more Celtic. They embrace more Celtic culture. So a lot of these people in North Italy, by the time the Romans were fighting them, they would have been very Celticized, but they weren't all Celtic tribes. I think the Ligurians were among those. So I'd be curious to see if I find any more information on them.
Well, I wish you the best of luck on that.
Oh yeah. Actually, speaking of books, I got a book recently.
Yeah?
The Origins of the Irish by J.P. Mallory.
Have you had a chance to read it yet?
Nope. I've heard of it for a number of years now. And there is a talk by him on YouTube. So, yeah, he's kind of interesting to trying to use archaeology and all that kind of evidence to pinpoint the origins of the Irish.